I'm joined here with Charlie Webber on the Case IH stand. Now, you're a product manager for Case in the UK. Could you give us a bit of information about what your job role is to do and what sort of products you look after?
Okay, so I'm the product specialist for high horsepower tractors. I look after quad track right down to Vestrum.
Okay, so you said quad track and high horsepower tractors. Behind us, that worked really well with the lights, didn't it? Behind us is the new quad track 715. Can you just give us a bit of information about that product from the specs and text of that altogether?
Of course. We've got the new biggest quad track that we've ever produced, 778 horsepower, 3,356 newton meters of torque through the 16-litre engine. We've upgraded all our drivetrains to be able to take that extra power, and our track frames have become bigger, heavier duty, to put the power down to the ground whilst minimising compaction.
So I understand this is currently the biggest production tractor in the world.
Correct.
Where does that, in terms of its capacity, sit with the UK market or UK and Irish market?
Bigger than we've ever seen before. Our previous big top selling model was the 645, and we are way ahead with this now, so we've got the scope to be able to pull any implement that manufacturers produce.
And is the drive for all this from a customer point of view, is that because there is a range of implements that effectively Case didn't have a tractor that could deliver with, or are you finding customers are looking to get more and more out of less machinery over a wider area?
Exactly, so more and more customers are finding it harder to get labour, so they basically need more land work done in less time, hence why bigger, more efficient tractors are proving popular with customers now.
So we're thinking about again with the UK market, so what sort of market potential do you see for this that you didn't get before? So you still offer the smaller quad tracks that exist.
We do.
So this is obviously sitting with them at the top of your range. What sort of unit numbers do you think, what's the appetite for this machine?
So we're not looking at massive unit numbers in this country, but it's offering customers where they may have a need, we can then fulfil what they wish really out of a machine. I think unit numbers will be very small, but obviously we still sell all the other quad tracks as well, so we offer a full range and can do anything that customers want.
So you spoke earlier about the changes that have been made for this side of the machine over the other models, particularly the track frame and its ability to get that power down to the ground. Could you just give a bit more on what those changes are and how that design of track, which is iconically looks very, very similar to quad tracks that, the smaller models, what changes exist on that machine that aren't on the smaller models?
Okay, so our big drive wheel at the top there, we now got we have drive lugs inside. On the 645 we would have 5 driving. We've now got 6 on this, so that's about 20% increase in traction effort. Our tracks are 300mm longer, so we've got more footprint on the ground and taller, so we've got more ground clearance, where the machine may not be used in agricultural uses.
So that design of track is unique to the 715?
It is, yes.
And do you think, so you're saying 715 boosting to nearly 800 horsepower, have we reached peak tractor? Is there going to be 1,000 horsepower quad track? Is there appetite for it, or have we seen this is probably as big as people want to go because of farm sizes?
Very hard to say with here and now. But I mean, I think our tractor is capable of more. We could produce bigger tractors in the future if we see a market for it really and customer desire.
So you sort of touched upon there in agricultural and non-agricultural applications.
Yeah.
Is that something we'll see in the UK? So where else worldwide, where might we see these used? And would we see a reflection of that in UK and Ireland?
So worldwide, they're used a lot for scraper tractors with huge, great earth-moving boxes on the back, where you need an enormous amount of power to move the soil along. With construction industry, there are those uses for this.
Okay, and you sort of touched upon, engine. This is the new engine for quad track. You've not used it in the model before. It's 16-litre unit, and that's what sort of transmission is that working with to give you that power to the ground?
So it's there's still the PS6 transmission that we've had previously, but it's been uprated. It's got new shafts, hardened shafts, better gearing, to be able to transfer that power through efficiently.
And will that be is that a full power shift transmission?
It is full power shift.
And with perhaps a little bit of a view on the future. So we see machines here from other manufacturers, and actually with Case itself, looking at alternative fuels. This is the largest tractor you've ever built.
Yeah.
This tractor runs on diesel.
It does.
This tractor has a power shift transmission. Are we likely to see some changes where we're starting to see hybrid drives or alternative fuels? Obviously, the parent company CNH has a big investiture in methane.
Yes.
Where does this fit against the backdrop of effectively being the same technology we've seen for the last 30 years in fuel and drive?
And I think until we can get smaller tractors running efficiently, like the Steyr with the hybrid, you cannot get enough power out of batteries or methane to carry enough. I mean, this carries 2,000 litres of fuel nearly, so it needs a lot. And there's a lot of technology still to come to be able to produce
Brilliant.
this.
Thank you for that, Charlie.
Okay.
A really interesting machine to come and have a look at. So we're here now with Ed Watson. Your role as a product manager with Case.
Yep.
Behind us is the Vestrum. So that's quite a lot different in terms of tractor than the one we saw before. Ed, could you give us a bit of information about the Vestrum and why, as Case, you want to sort of maybe talk about this machine today?
Yeah, so the Vestrum, where does it sit? Who's it aimed at? So we're probably aiming this mainly at the livestock and mixed farming. There's 4 models within the range. We do a 100, a 110, 120 and a 130. Within that, we have various transmissions options, one being the CVX, so our continuously variable transmission, and we also have the new Active Drive 8. So we've seen that on the Maxim, we've seen it with a double clutch technology. So we hear about double clutch from automotive industry, but what is it? So it's an 8-speed power shift with 24 gears, so 24 forward, 24 reverse, with a creeper option. But what's quite nice is how we can try and make this power shift transmission act to the CVX. So for example, 2 shafts in the transmission, odd gears on one, even gears on the other. So we've already pre-selected, if we're in gear 1 for example, we've already pre-selected the next gear, clutch pack on each, one opens, one closes, so we get that seamless transfer of power and a smooth shift. So there's a lot of nice features we can bring into it. Active clutch too, so we can make it act as a CVX, put the foot on the brake, bring the tractor to the stop, no need to use the clutch. Modulate the takeoff, so bailing, we can modulate it so we can inch off the brake pedal to take us up there. So there's a lot of nice features within that transmission.
So you've spoken about saying this is a tractor that we'll see with stock farmers and mixed farmers, and then said actually we can do it with a CVT transmission, we can do it with quite a complicated double clutch transmission. Is the market that's buying this product asking for that level of technology or that level of sophistication? And is that a change that you've seen as an industry relatively recently?
So there is still the demand for a low spec, no frills tractor, but there is also then like your owner operators want slightly higher spec. They see these features on the bigger tractors and they want to bring them down to the smaller and make it as comfortable as possible and easy for them to operate.
So in terms of technology and guidance and bits and pieces, presumably we can put full guidance systems, full auto steer on this machine as you would have on, behind us.
Whatever we can do here, we can do here.
Right.
You'll see on this tractor we've got the new screen, so we've got the Pro 700 Plus. So that's a 12-inch display, but operating on the older software that we had on the Pro 700. So it's refreshed it, brought it back to life, or given it a new lease of life, should I say. And then we can offer the telematics, so we can have the onboard, off-board technology where you can wirelessly transfer data from the farm office to the machine. Good for agronomic use, so getting that information, but also for monitoring. So from a farm manager's point of view, where is my tractor, what's it doing, loan working, all sorts of examples like that.
Great stuff. Now I think there's another product you want to show us as well, so we'll go around there and
we're
have a
going
look
to
at
jump
that now.
onto the farm lift.
So we've moved now over to the farm lift. Now Ed's still with me here. Now farm lift, a Case telehandler. A lot of people probably haven't really seen one of these before. Just take us a little bit about the machine. Where does Case sit with this machine in the market, and what makes this special effectively as a product?
Okay, Okay, thank you. Yeah, so we've got the farm lift here, which is a CNH built telehandler built in Lecce, a factory we've got in Italy. This is the 742. We try and keep it simple, 7 metre, 4.2 tonne lift. We have been in the market with the telehandler for a while, but we've made some recent changes to this. So notably on this side, big change would be to the styling here and better visibility down this front end. So we've got a nice curving front on this bonnet here, and this family sort of 742 within that honeycomb there on the styling. With regards to the engine, we've actually got the same engine in here as we've got in the Vestron we just looked at. So it's a 4.5 litre 4-cylinder engine. So a very proven engine with us, with our no EGR, purely running AdBlue.
So what sort of power is this? Power and hydraulic outputs of this machine? You know, you've done weights and capacity. So where are we in terms of power and
so power-wise, we're 146 horsepower with this. We do slightly lower spec models, and they've got 100 and 133 horsepower. It's a 6x3 transmission, so gives us good pulling efficiency on the road. Pump-wise, we've actually just increased the pump capacity, so we're 160 litre a minute pump on it. And then we've added some smart hydraulic features. So if we start using the hydraulic pump, the engine will rev to provide the oil flow. We can then alter from the cab the responsiveness of the hydraulics. So if we want to be, say, stacking a bale heap and we want it to be really responsive, or if we want it less responsive, maybe with the pallets, we can turn down the responsiveness of the hydraulics there.
So you spoke earlier, sort of, we were moving across, about the features and some of the smart aspect of it. Now, there's a feature with your boom crowd and dump that's quite unique to you guys. And can you just go through what that is and why it's on the machine?
Yeah, so when you look at most other telehandlers on the market, you will see on the far side of the boom, you'll see a hydraulic compensator ram, and the main purpose of that is when we lift it up to keep that bucket running in a level, so we're not tipping grain on the floor. We've actually got rid of that hydraulic compensator, and we've gone with position sensors. So there's a position sensor on the ram, and then it's automatically controlling the crowd as we lift up to maintain that true level all the way through.
So having that position sensor as a feature, what does that allow you to do with as an electronic control that you couldn't do with the previous incarnation?
It allows us to utilise it for various other functions. So if we start looking at the features we've got the parallel lift, for example. So if we're lifting bales up to a straw stack and we want to, as we lift, we want it to crowd out, we can get that true vertical movement. But it also then enables us to save positions. So mundane or repetitive tasks such as loading lorries, we could have a position saved for where we've got the bucket up in the air for crowding round to empty the bucket, and we can have one saved for our lower position for when we're going into the heap to lift it up, so we can quickly move between those two pre-set positions. Also enables us to do a bucket shake function, so we can press a button on the joystick, push it to the side, and it will then shake the bucket to get that dirt or whatever we're doing out. So some nice hydraulic features added because of having that feature.
Brilliant, thank you very much for that, Ed. Very interesting. Again, probably worth coming have a look. It's an interesting product that sits in the marketplace that we probably really haven't seen case in before, and I think there's a lot on it that for interested buyers to take away from that. Right, I'm Jeremy Keir now from Case H, so your product demonstrator.
Yep.
And behind us is your Puma 260. So
yes.
Just to begin with, can you tell us a little bit about the 260? So where does it fit in the Case range, and why does it exist?
Yeah, so this here is the biggest in our long wheelbase range. This is obviously a 260 with max power with boost of 302 horsepower. We can get this tractor right down as far as the 185, so we can do a 185, a 200, a 220, the 240, and obviously this here behind us, so the 260 as well. All of these models do come with the 6.7 litre 6-cylinder FPT engine in them. And yeah, this is the biggest one that we have in the range.
So within your range, this is the biggest Puma. There's obviously a range bigger than this, which is the Optum, and then
Yep.
a smaller range as well. So who is the buyer for this machine who isn't buying isn't buying an Optum effectively.
So yeah, you got your arable farmer. It's an all-round tractor. So you got your arable farmers. If they want a tractor for the cultivations, for light cultivations, they've got they can put on trailers. The tractor is between 8.5 and 9.5 ton, depending on spec. So that then gives you the opportunity to add weights to it. If you want to do cultivations, take the weights off it, and you've got a small, nimble tractor for around the roads. And again, if you're using outside of your arable, it gives you that opportunity as well. It just makes it a bit more easy to use, really.
So what you've said there is a small, nimble tractor that's 300 horsepower,
Yeah.
which 10 years ago would have been a slightly surprising combination because
Yes.
that was a Magnum.
It wasn't in the same sentence back then, no.
No. So is that a reflection of users that saying we want more power effectively in a smaller tractor, or the ability to make tractors much, much heavier or much, much lighter?
I think the way it is people want the option. We've given them the option. We can get the 300 horsepower in either a Puma 260 or in the Optum. And again, the Optum can go up to 340 as well. So it just depends on the farm itself. Every customer has a different desire. The Optum obviously weighs a small bit more than this. If you're using it for a lot more heavier cultivations or primarily cultivations instead of this can be a 50-50 tractor, should we call it, 50-50 field and road. So it just depends. I mean, some places the Optum doesn't really suit the farms. So it just depends on the farming practices they're using.
So thinking through the machine now, so we touched upon sort of engine technology. Drivetrain transmission, is this CVT, is this power shift? What have we got in this machine?
So with the 240 and 260 are only available in CVX, so the continuously variable transmission. For the smaller models, then the 185, the 200 and 220, you do have the option, so you can either have the power shift transmission or the CVX transmission, depending on what your what you desire and what works best for your farm.
So it's talking about a sort of a multi-use, utility tractor. It will do different tasks.
Yeah.
There's an element of technology that will be built into this for application work for, establishment.
Yeah.
Can you take us through the cab control layout and potentially the cab layout in itself?
Yeah.
Because I understand that's quite unique to this machine at the moment and how that is.
Yes, so we have got the AFS Connect cab is everything from quad track down to what's behind me, the long wheelbase Puma now. With this AFS Connect cab, we now have the new Pro 1200 monitor, the screen inside the actual tractor itself, which is very easy to use. It just has everything, it's all fully customizable. So the tractor can be, and that's the way throughout this new cab as well, the tractor can be the way that you want it to be as the operator. You have configurable buttons on the armrest as well, and all these, there's over 150 options of different configurable buttons to put onto your armrest. And the way that we've actually designed the multi-controller is 90% of your daily driving of the machine can be done without lifting your hand off that multi-controller. So you configure the tractor to suit the task you're doing, and just suit the implement environment as well.
So something that's I think is quite interesting and maybe a bit reflective of how an industry is. So this is the same operator control interface controller area as a quad track.
Yep.
So all the models coming down are the same. Is that driven by a need to give a consistency for operators, or is that more reflective actually we need to have a system where operators will know what they're expecting to see because of that consistency, but also jumping between machines when we're allowing this machine to do the technology and the applications of, say, the quad track without having different controls, operator interfaces and all that sort of thing?
So yeah, I think it's consistency throughout the board. I mean, it's no more than any of us using our different technology we have these days at home in our own house. If you've got the same brand, it's obviously going to be the same software, and you can jump between it. It makes it quick, it makes it easy, and it's second nature. You don't have to think about it. And it's the same throughout all of these, apart from some minor software in the screen that might change, so different actual screen layouts or different options within the screen. The whole principle of the whole cab itself is almost identical. So it does help.
So in terms of, as you're saying, coming back to this tractor that's for multiple purposes, do you see this moving away from the model of actually, we'll have a big tractor for this job, a smaller tractor for this job, as machines are more expensive, operators are asking more of a limited number of units?
I think a lot of that depends again on the farm. So what practices they're carrying out in the farm. Some people want a lot more multi-purpose tractors, so tractors that they don't need the one big tractor in the farm. They can have one tractor does all, or they can have the opportunity then to have the big tractor, but they've got a backup if they need it. Again, it depends on the farm practices they're doing, how they're going about it, and which way it operates. But.
So thinking about, we sort of touched at the start on power. This machine's bonnet badged as a 260,
Yeah.
boost to 300.
Yeah.
As a user, how would they access that increase of power? Because that's a big part in terms of the overall percentage of the machine's capacity.
Yeah, so to get the access to that power, basically you either have to be going above 15 kilometers an hour, so effectively road work, or having the power going to, dare I say, a second place. So if you're moving below 15 kilometers an hour, but you have the PTO engaged, you're using the hydraulics, any of that, it automatically boosts. It will give you the boost that you need for the task in hand, basically. So, yeah.
Brilliant, thank you for saying. I think we've got another aspect to look at here on Case, which is their connected room, which is effectively a technology hub, which we'll go to now. So joining me now is John Hand, and you are the precision farming specialist for Case. Could you just take us through, well, behind us here, the Connect room and what it is?
Yeah, so the Connect room is something that has now become a standard within the Case IH dealerships throughout the world. What we are trying to show here is both from a dealership and a customer point of view how the connectivity can help you really bring forward your business. So we you have to look at it in two separate sides. You have the telemetry side of it, which will show all of the machine information. So the big benefit of this is for both dealers and the customers is that dealerships can keep an eye, can monitor machines that are already working in the field for servicing hours, for any fault codes or error codes that may crop up on the machine, that the dealer is aware of it before even the customer is aware of the issue happening. From a customer side as well, obviously from this side it's a big benefit to them for downtime. But also what we're trying to show here as well is the Case IH Farm Portal. So the Case IH Farm Portal is a tool that we use to help customers with their agronomic data, so the agronomic side of their business. So again, all field information, all of the AFS Connect tractors that you see here today come with 5-year telematics. So basically all of the field information, all the agronomic data can seamlessly move between tractor and the portal, so it ensures that all of the data is held in the cloud.
Brilliant. Thank you, John. I think that's probably all we've got time for here with Case. And I say, very, very interesting stuff across the portfolio of products.